潜入の醍醐味ってある建物に潜入するんですけど、いきなりそこに行くの。
Throughout human history, there have been leaders that have led wars, conflict to free nations for ideology and beliefs. But there have been those who accomplished their goals, not through war, maybe not even through peace, but through what they have left behind. Lessons that teach us about ourselves and the world we live in. These lessons have been accomplished through speeches, actions, and events. But as we enter the digital age, new methods are at the disposal of those who wish to make the world a better place. Once considered mere games, the medium of interactive media has become an outlet to make points heard. Points that attempt to teach lessons and make messages heard, and these lessons are the legacy of the individuals who created them, and one such individual is Hideo Kojima. This is where Hideo Kojima is now, a wealthy, well-known game developer who is looked up to by many. But to understand this man, we need to start from the beginning. During August 24th, 1963, a young boy was born in Tokyo, Japan. He is named Hideo Kojima. During Hideo Kojima's early life, he wasn't widely accepted by people he lived with. He always tried to stand out from others, but tragically, when he was a young boy, his father died. After his father's death, his family struggled to make ends meet, and he would be often left home alone. Every day he would come back from school to an empty home. As Hideo grew older, he then took an interest in the arts. He would spend hours upon hours writing short stories for his local newspaper, but these stories would never be published. The reason why these stories were unpublished is because they exceeded the maximum page limit, meaning Hideo Kojima did too much work. Though it seemed his writing career was a failure, Hideo Kojima pursued making short movies. He did this with a friend of his who had an 8mm camera. After Kojima realized that his movie career wasn't going in any direction, he decided to move into the gaming industry. Kojima tried joining the gaming industry, but was rejected at first. But he kept trying, and eventually, he was able to join a company called Konami. Though he did land a job in Konami, he was still considered a joke. He had little to no programming experience, and he was looked down to upon his peers. He was then assigned to the MSX branch of Konami, which designed games for the platform of MSX, which was a gaming console during the 1980s. Kojima would work on many projects during his time at Konami on the MSX branch. His initial job at Konami was to be the designer and planner of projects, but he was initially disappointed with this agreement, and actually attempted joining Nintendo. He never joined Nintendo, but part of the reason why he wanted to was because he thought the MSX color palette was too restrictive, which limited his creative vision for the games he wanted to create. During his time at Konami during the 1980s, he would make games like Antarctic Adventure and Lost World. But during this time, Kojima never felt like he was making the game that he wanted to create. Never the game that he felt was what his vision would be, until a project hit his doorstep. This project was given up on by a senior associate. The name of this project was called Metal Gear. Metal Gear was said to be an action stealth game, focusing on the main protagonist, Solid Snake, infiltrating the military base of Outer Heaven and destroying Metal Gear, a nuclear bipedal tank, and then killing the antagonist, Big Boss. Kojima would lead development of Metal Gear, and it would be released on the MSX during 1987. Metal Gear would be a massive hit on the MSX and would launch Hideo Kojima's career. After the major success of Metal Gear, Kojima earned the respect he deserved. He was no longer the useless employee, but was a valuable resource to Konami. After Metal Gear on the MSX, Kojima would make the game called Snatcher. Snatcher was an action-adventure game that did considerably well compared to Metal Gear during the 1980s. As with Metal Gear, Kojima would write the story of Snatcher and direct the game development. Due to the success of Metal Gear, Konami wanted another hit. They decided to make a sequel to Metal Gear, and it would be called Snake's Revenge. Snake's Revenge did not involve Kojima, and it is not considered the true sequel to Metal Gear. The true sequel to Metal Gear is Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake. Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake got its start when Kojima got into a train with a former Snake's Revenge developer who told Kojima that he should make a true sequel to Metal Gear. Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake would be released during July of 1990. After the success of the Metal Gear series, Kojima's name was known in the gaming industry, but though Kojima's name was known, he would not achieve fame until 1998. With the release of the PlayStation 1, infinite possibilities seemed to be in Kojima's head. Kojima would then make a decision. He would reboot with his team one of his most iconic games, Metal Gear. And he and his team would develop Metal Gear Solid. It would be released on the PlayStation 1 during 1998. Metal Gear Solid was revered as Kojima's masterpiece, and he revolutionized the gaming industry forever. His leadership at Konami is what shaped Metal Gear into what it is today, and Metal Gear Solid is Kojima's legacy. Today, Hideo Kojima's legacy lives on. Metal Gear Solid is now a multi-million-dollar game franchise. Metal Gear Solid is Hideo Kojima's legacy. It shows his opinions of Earth and what we need to improve in ourselves to become a greater society. Though the game is about war, it is very anti-war, and it shows how terrible war can be. Hideo Kojima dreams of a world without war or conflict, a world where we can be at peace with other nations and ourselves. Now, nearly 30 years since the release of the first Metal Gear game, Hideo Kojima prepares to release his final Metal Gear game, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.